Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today, obviously it's international break still and it's kind of just dragging on. I cannot wait for football to be back. But as a Barcelona fan, this has definitely come at probably the best time possible for us. Two losses in a row, pretty rough. Go check out my latest video. Actually made a video and spoke about what I think went wrong and the reasons as to why I think we lost those two games in a row and what's sort of going on at the moment. But today, I thought I'd just go through and rank each Barcelona player so far this season. So the way I've done this is I've only looked at our first team players. So I looked at a few, Barca B players who have, come to the first team and had a few minutes, like Joffrey Torrens, Dro, his cousin, Tony Fernandez as well, those kind of players. I haven't put them in the list. But what I've gone through is our first team players, and I've essentially put them from rank 19 to 1 of how I think they performed so far this season. So, to kick it off, in 19th place, and in my opinion, the worst player for Barcelona this season, Dani Olmo. I mean, I don't really have too much to say. I think every Barcelona fan kind of understands sort of why. It kind of feels like we've been playing with 10 men whenever he's on the field. He just hasn't lived up to standard or been up to standard so far this season. And just in general, I'd say in his Barca spell, I don't know. Like, it's really painful because there is a lot of potential there and we know he can be a quality player, but he just hasn't shown it this season. And of course, he's injured now as well. Just don't get me started on the injuries, man. It's ridiculous. Moving on to number 18, I've got Casado. So this was hard to do because I feel like sort of these players towards the bottom haven't necessarily been like bad, but they just haven't been as good as some of the other players and maybe not as good as they were last season. The only one I'd really say has been shockingly bad this season overall has been Olmo. I'd say everyone else has been pretty decent. But yeah, Casado, it's a bit hard to rank him. He hasn't really had too many minutes. And when he has come on, he's been all right, but hasn't done anything, amazing or sort of to the heights that he had last season. In number 17, I've got Gerard Martin. So this is an interesting one because he has played a lot of minutes this season. And he's been okay at times. I feel like he has looked a lot more comfortable than he has last season. But overall, as Barcelona fans know as well, I'm not impressed. And I think that we do need to get a backup left back for Balde. That is not Gerard Martin. I don't think he has a place in the team long term as being the replacement. I do appreciate, the effort he puts in and how hard he works, but I just don't think he's the one for us long term. Lord Martin, it's time to move on, bro. Yeah, moving on to 16th place, I've actually got Rooney. So this is an interesting one because I actually think Rooney's been okay. I know a lot of Barcelona fans have been criticizing him this season and just in general, but I think he's actually been alright. Like, I don't think he's as bad as some people put him out to be. I think it is hard to fill Lamine Yamal's boots, and I think of how good Lamine Yamal is sort of is a detriment to Rooney because people expect this because they see this from Lamine Yamal every week, right? But realistically, Rooney I think is still doing okay. He did miss some crucial chances against Sevilla, as I'm sure most Barca fans know, when he got criticised for that. But I think generally he's been alright. Like he's dribbled a lot of times, a lot of successful dribbles. He's made a lot of good passes. He gets into good positions, and I feel like he's been an okay replacement for Yamal when he needs to be. So I think he's been alright. Moving on to 15. This is the hard one. I've got Araujo. Now, I will say he probably had his best Barcelona performance ever. Like, best performance in a Barcelona shirt in that game against Real Oviedo when he got man of the match. I think that was a really good glimpse of how good Araujo can truly be. And he has shown his glimpses this season. It's a lot better than last season. But overall, I'm just not confused, man. I mean, not convinced. I'm not convinced and I'm also confused because sometimes he shows that he can be really good. And I think he's someone that's kind of a victim to Hansi Flick's system. I think he is a very good, traditional, in the box defender, as in, if there's clearances or balls coming in, he's really good at getting rid of them and those sort of, back to the wall defending. But I think when it comes to a high line and having possession of the ball, I just don't think he's good enough. And that Sevilla game, I think he was honestly shocking, and it was quite good to see him come off at halftime, to be honest. I think we looked a lot better without him there. But I just don't think he has a future in the club long term. And although it hurts me to say because I love his passion for the team, I do honestly think if a good transfer fee comes in, I wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of him and grabbing someone else who's better suited to our system. But it is what it is, I guess. Now, number 14, this one was really hard to put here, especially with how good he's been, the last couple years for Barcelona. I've actually got Koundé. So, this is a hard one because Koundé arguably is, in my opinion, the second best right back in the world behind Hakimi. There was even a time, I'd say, before last season where you could say he was number one. And I think he's generally just a really good player. Mr. Consistent last season especially. He played almost every game except for when he got injured towards the end of the season, which did hurt us in the end. But yeah, I just don't think he's in his best form at the moment. He was incredible in that Newcastle game. I don't know if a lot of people really recognise that, but I feel like that was one of his best performances ever in a Barcelona shirt. But other than that, I just don't think he's, looked to his normal standard. And I mean, even Hansi Flick sort of suggested it too. You're looking at Eric Garcia, for example, who at the start of the season was our starter at right back and sort of replaced Koundé in a sense. I do think Koundé, moving forward will improve for the rest of the season, go back to his level, and I do think he's one of our most important players overall. But for the start of the season, I would have to put him, this low on the list. Number 13, I've got Christensen. So this one is weird because he hasn't really played that much, but I feel like every time he has played, he's looked solid. I'm honestly not too sure why he doesn't get more minutes. I don't know what Hansi Flick sort of doesn't see in him that, us as the fan base and me, myself personally, sees in him, but I think he's a very good player. I really hope Flick begins to use him more, and I think he edges over Koundé, Araujo, and Gerard Martin because I feel like he's made less errors compared to them. Like Koundé, I forgot to mention before, but that error against Sevilla was just pedestrian. And even his, I don't know if you guys saw, but against Iceland for France, bro, his brain is fried by Hansi Flick with the offside system. Like, he basically gave Iceland a free goal in the way he pushed up the offside line. It was pretty funny to see, to be honest. But yeah, I'd say Christensen has been good whenever he's been on, but not as many minutes, unfortunately. Number 12, I've got Kubasi. Now, it's hard because I feel like all of our defenders generally have been pretty bad, except for one in specific, which we'll get to later on in the list. I just think he's been a bit shaky. I don't think he's his best self at the moment. I still think he's been good, on the ball possession-wise. Defensively, it kind of looked like he lacks confidence and conviction. You could really see it in that first PSG goal when Nuno Mendes just, put a ball past him really easily that, let's be real, Kubasi should have stopped. And I just think in general he's been a little bit shaky. I do think it's to do with him being out of position, obviously being a left centre-back now. And I do think he misses having the presence of someone like Inigo Martinez next to him. I'm hoping as he gets more comfortable with that sort of role, or if we get, maybe in January, another left centre-back, he can move back to his preferred position at right centre-back. But I still think he's been okay, just not as good as last season. Moving on to 11th place, I've got Balde. So man, Balde, this one hurts because he's honestly so good. I think he's one of the most important players for our system because I think when we're at our best, it's when Balde is bombing down the line and Rafinha is coming in as like an inside forward from that left side, and Balde is essentially our whole left flank. And the reason he's not as high is because obviously he's been out for a lot of the season, but based on the little minutes he has, I think he's been, spectacular. When he's playing, he looks amazing, and it's so important, especially that Sevilla game. I think him and Eric Garcia coming on just made a massive difference, and I'm so excited to see Balde hopefully starting and hopefully getting a good run of form and, injury-free. We can all pray. Moving on to 10th place, so the top 10. I've got Lewandowski in 10. This one's interesting because obviously he hasn't been the preferred starter this season. Ferran Torres is starting over him. But I don't know. It's a bit interesting because I feel like if you look at his stats, he's still scored, I think, 5 goals in 6 starts, which is still, good. And he's getting, some crucial goals for us. Like that game, I forgot who it was against, but he came on and scored that header straight away. I think he is still, an amazing player, and I think we do need Lewandowski to perform at our absolute ceiling as our team. But I do think Father Time is finally catching up to him. I think it is starting to, his age is starting to show, and it's not really his fault. I don't blame Lewandowski. He's done so much for us as a club, and I feel like we really need to appreciate what we have left of him, because I know that is probably potentially the last season he's going to have at the top level. And I really do appreciate everything he's done, but I just do not think he's been as good as he has been previously. But you can't really blame him, to be honest. And yeah, like it does look like even Flick's starting to see it. It looks like he's transitioning into sort of a rotation role along with Ferran Torres. Which, speaking about Ferran Torres, that moves on to my number 9, who I do have Ferran Torres. See, this one's hard because if it was based on like the first 3 games of the season, I'd probably put him higher because honestly, even though I was surprised to see him starting over Lewa due to fitness, which I guess isn't really surprising, but just in general, I think he actually started really well. And I think he's filled in Lewa's gap at times and has done a really good job. Even that goal against PSG, even though his performance wasn't the greatest, I think he's the perfect squad player. And I think, he's reliable, he works hard, he presses really well. I think he is an important player for our squad. And I think he has done good this season overall. There are a few moments where, obviously being Ferran Torres, it just hasn't worked out for him, especially when he played on the wing against Sevilla. I just do not think Ferran Torres is suited to the wing. I think he has to stick to being central. But yeah, I think he's been all right. But there is still question marks on whether he can be our, starting number 9 going forward, just in general into the future. Moving on to 8th place, I have got Fermin Lopez. This one gets really hard because I feel like this sort of bracket from 8 to maybe around I'd say 8 to 6 is really hard to sort of separate. And the reason I've gone Fermin Lopez here is he's honestly been amazing. I think one of our most important players, and he's been very, very good. And especially with how bad Olmo is, we need Fermin Lopez right now. But I do think because he's been out, so many times, not so many times, but just he's been out for a while now, and he has had that sort of thing of swapping and transitioning with Danny Olmo. I can't put him too high because he hasn't played as many minutes as some of the people who are going to reach to later on. But I think he's one of our most important players this season. He's in good form, and I'm really excited to see him coming back. Number 7. This one is really, really hard because if someone else was to do this ranking, another Barca fan, and were to put this next player I'm going to mention in the top 3, I would not complain. I would not be opposed to it at all. But I've got at number 7, Juan Garcia. He is just crucial to our system, right? He's the glue to our high line and so important for us because of his sweeper capability. I think the reason we started so well defensively at the start of the season was hugely due to him, because our defenders, knowing that they have him in behind who can make that sweeper action and sort of be reliable, and just knowing that if you do, let a man get through and they have a shot, there's a good chance that Juan Garcia is going to save it. It's just, so important for our team. And I think he's just been amazing. No other words, just purely amazing. And the only reason I'm having this low is because, he has missed the last couple games, but also I do think that compared to some of the other players who are a bit higher than him, I think that his replacement, Tech, is actually, all right. And even though we do definitely benefit and would benefit a lot more moving forward with Juan Garcia in goal, especially the next few games, not Tech, I still think Tech can do a decent job. So that's why I've got him so low. Number 6, this one's also really hard. Number 6 to number 1, you could honestly put in any order, and as I said before, I would not complain. And this one was really hard to do, but I'm going to put Rashford in number 6. So I'm going to put him number 1 because of the importance of him, in the team and filling the gap for Lewandowski, Rafinha, and Yamal being out. He's got a lot of GA, and he's just been an amazing replacement. I'm so happy we have him, and I'm so happy Hansi Flick has trusted him. I think he's, in very good form. He's almost got a GA every game. But I do think the reason I have him this low is he still suffers sometimes. I still don't think he's fully gelled with the team, even though he's getting these goals and assists, which I'm so happy for, especially the Newcastle game. I do think he hasn't necessarily looked perfect in terms of he still needs to gel with the system. He does lose the ball a lot. He doesn't really fit the sort of, playing style we're trying to kind of do at the moment. But I don't blame him. It's going to take some time. He's used to a complete different style of football. But overall, I'm really impressed with him, so that's why I got him in number 6. Moving on to 5, I've got Frankie de Jong. Now, this is also, as I'm going to say this for everyone else moving forward, but this was really, really hard because I actually did have him second on my list when I first made, the rough draft of it. And I thought about it, I ended up moving him down to 5th. He's just been Mr. Consistent this season. I think he has just been absolutely amazing. He's really found his footing and he's barely made a mistake. He's been holding it down, especially that Newcastle game. That was one of the best performances I've ever seen from Frankie de Jong and just from a midfielder in general in a long time. And I think the main thing about Frankie de Jong this season is he's added a new element to his game. He's become a lot more progressive and there's a sense of urgency that we haven't really seen before. The main criticism for de Jong was that he used to always, pass sideways, pass backwards, stop counterattacks by taking his time. I feel like this season he's really started to, pick up that sometimes he needs to be more direct. He's getting the ball, he's trying to push forward, he's trying to burst through. There was even a moment in a game recently where I saw that he tried to start a counterattack and no one else ran with him and you could see he was visibly upset. I just think he's been amazing this season and it's just, I think he's just been perfect. And it's hard to put him this low, but some of the names above him, you'll understand why I feel like. But he was someone that was originally second on my list. Moving on to number 4, I've got Lamine Yamal. Now, this is interesting because the start of the season was scary, scary stuff, man. Honestly, at the time of the season starting, I said he was, in my opinion, the best player in the world. And obviously he's missed a bit of time, so I can't necessarily say that, especially when you look at Harry Kane, for example, who's on fire at the moment, and Mbappe. I do think he's generally one of the best players in the world at the moment. And even just his impact. The reason I have him so high, even though he's been injured, is because his impact and his ability is just crazy. That first game, he came on within like 50 seconds, gets an assist. His first half against P-Street as well, absolutely amazing. One of the best performances you'll see this season, just in general. And yeah, I think he's just been. I mean, I don't really have to explain Lamine Yamal. Everyone knows how good he is, and everyone knows the player he is. And yeah, he's just amazing. Especially start of the season, he looked in very, very scary form. I was literally thinking to myself, wow, this could be an all-time season right here. But the reason I have him in fourth place and not higher is because, you know, he has missed those games. And in those first few games he did miss, we didn't really struggle. Like, we still won the game, we still got results. So I think the reason I have him there is because there were replacements and we were still able to win games without him, which I think was important because we couldn't do that last season. It's not Yamal's fault. I'm not like doxing Yamal for that. But I would have other people above him, the other three players above him one of them for that reason, and the other two just because they've been really good this season and played the whole season. So moving on to number 3, I have got Rafinha. Now, the reason I got Rafinha over Yamal is, I would say, as I explained in my last video as well, I think Rafinha has arguably been our biggest loss of the season injury-wise because of his pressing and his intensity, right? I don't think people understand, and it really pains me that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or because I think he was the worthy Ballon d'Or winner, right? People don't understand how important Rafinha is for our team. He is one of the most single important pieces of Hansi's flick system. His intensity, his pressing, his effort, his hunger. Without him, we struggle. And it's no coincidence that the last 2 games, Rafinha missed and we lost both of them. I think if he was playing, it could have been a complete different result in both games. He's our leader, our captain when it comes to, like, you know, the intensity. And I just think we need Rafinha there. And the reason I have him above Yamal is because when Rafinha was out, we lost 2 games, right? When Yamal was out at the start of the season, we were still winning games. We were still getting results. So I just think the reason why I've got Rafinha above him is I think that we missed him more in terms of his importance and effect on the team when it comes to intensity and pressing. Yeah, so moving on to number 2. This one's really interesting, and I never thought I'd be saying this if you told me this at the end, like last season, or even the end of last season, or start of the season, honestly. But second place, our second best player, in my opinion, this season, I've got Eric Garcia. I know it sounds crazy, but he is honestly Mr. Consistent, Mr. Versatile, Mr. Reliable. I don't know what else I can say. Like, what a turnaround. He has been immense, right? He comes in, he starts over Koundé, and you don't feel his loss, like Koundé's loss. I think he's been amazing. And you know, whether it's centre back, even left back at times, Hansi Flick's put him. I just think he's the perfect player you want in your team. And not only is he versatile, but just this season in general, he hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been amazing. He's elevated his game immensely. He's been important for us. He's making an impact too. You saw the way he came on against Sevilla and completely changed the game along with Balde, right? I think he's been absolutely immense. And I think, honestly, moving forward this season, I don't think you can make a Gala Barca XI without Eric Garcia's name on it. I think he has to start. I don't know if it's going to be at centre back, left back, right back, for example, right? But I just know that when it comes to the big games, we need Eric Garcia in the field because he had so much for us on the ball. His IQ is also immense. I just think this season, I'm pretty sure he's a player with the second most minutes behind Pedri. And like the reason I have him there as well is because, as I said, he's played almost every game and he's just been perfect. No mistakes, in my opinion. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but I do think he's been immense and I do think he has been our second best player this season. Now moving on to number 1. I don't really need to speak about him for too long. I'm not going to say too much. I've been waxing lyrical about this guy for a long time now. On my podcast page, actually, Kickoff Glitch, we made a hot takes video recently. And I said one of my hot takes was that I think Pedri could end up as one of the greatest midfielders of all time when it's all said and done. And I do truly stand by that statement. In fact, I think he honestly will become the greatest midfielder of all time. I know it's a crazy statement, but I don't know what else there is to say. He's him. Like, I don't have words to describe him. He's arguably one of the most complete midfielders I've ever seen. And his performances week in, week out, no matter what, are just incredible. Like, you can argue, like, there's a few different players who could be the most important and best player for Barcelona, right? Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Balde, for example. And obviously there's Pedri too. If someone was to sit there and say why they think Pedri is the best player for Barcelona, I would totally hear it. And even if someone wants to say that they think Pedri is the best player in the world, which I'm starting to kind of think, honestly, I would hear it too. In my opinion, the 2 best players in the world right now are Yamal and Pedri. And I could honestly believe Pedri being number one. I think he's just amazing. And I think he's reaching legendary status. Like, you look at him now, he's 22 years old and he's receiving a standing ovation after every single game. He has been the core of our team this season, the one constant along with Eric Garcia. But I just think with Pedri in the field, just our game goes from this to this. He makes such a difference and he's such an important player for us. And I'm so grateful he's ours. I'm so excited to see, another 12, 13, 14, 15 years, hopefully, of Pedro at the club. And he's honestly my personal favourite Barcelona player, and I think he's been our best player. And I'd honestly argue he's been one of the best players in the world as well at the current moment. But yeah, that's my number one. So, to go through my rankings again, just to confirm, I've got 19 Olmo, 18 Casado, 17 Gerard Martin, 16 Rooney, 15 Araujo, 14 Koundé, 13 Christensen, 12 Kabasi, 11 Balde, pardon me, 10 Lewandowski, who, I forgot to mention, injured at the moment, which honestly sucks. I'm so gutted that's the case. Hopefully we'll be okay, especially with El Clasico coming up, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, 10 Lewandowski, 9 Ferran Torres, 8 Fermin Lopez, 7 Juan Garcia, 6 Rashford, 5 De Jong, 4 Yamal, 3 Rafinha, 2 Eric Garcia, which I can't believe I'm saying, and 1 none other than the man himself, Pedri. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about my list and what you guys think as well. Who do you think yours being your best player for Barcelona this season? Sorry, I'm starting a lot in this video. I just really wanted to make this super quick because I knew it's the international break and, there's not a lot of football going around club-wise at the moment. So I just thought I'd make this video just, stay consistent and just let my thoughts known about Barcelona this season. But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Hopefully tune into my videos and hopefully you guys are enjoying the content. Check out my podcast page as well. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Take care.